Hi, I'm Sarah Subiata Bennett, and 2026 is already bringing us some incredible conversations here on Let's Talk Local. Today's guest is truly one of a kind. Dr. Sasha Ortiz is a former Miss World International, a leading clinical psychologist in DFW, a mom, and someone I'm lucky to call a friend. We cover so much in this episode, from early autism awareness and kids on social media to alternative approaches to therapy, and I honestly could have talked to her for hours. I think you're going to love this conversation as much as I did. Don't forget to visit dallasexpress.com to watch every episode of Let's Talk Local and subscribe to our newsletter so you never miss a moment. Sasha, I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you for
are
having me.
Not just beautiful, but brilliant. You're a doctor of psychology, right? Dr. Sasha Ortiz. And being able to sit with you to speak about things that I believe are impacting so many of our lives, the mental health arena is often overwhelming and overloading. I'm glad that we're new friends. Like I told you, it was definitely a God thing that we met.
Totally.
And I've just, again, really enjoyed getting to know you. You have so many parts to you. Would you mind sharing with our viewers and listeners a little bit about who you are, your background, and what led you to become a psychologist?
Yes. First of all,
Yeah.
thank you for having me. It's
Thank
always
you.
a pleasure to connect with like-minded women.
Yep.
I don't get to do that very often. I
Yep.
think you know how that goes. Especially one who's God-fearing, who I always say, don't mess with my God, my gold, or my guns.
Yeah.
I'm like, when I finally meet
goodness.
somebody else, I'm like, they're the same. They're a golden girl. I like it. That's what I call
Yes.
us. So thank you for having me here. My story is really boring. How I became a psychologist. I always say I declared my major at the age of 5. I just always knew that it was my calling. Literally, I'm Jewish, and in the Jewish community, you don't name a baby till they're 8 days old. And so when my mother named me, she said that she looked at me for a week and a day. And she looked into me and she named me what she did, because my name means womanly wise counselor, my entire name. And that's just who I was called to be. So since I was a child, I just always knew that there was a call in my life to help people understand themselves, why they do what they do. And as I grew and evolved and life's path opened up, life kind of added into me like the whys, like why you'll need to know how to help people, why you'll need to learn about you, what you'll need to, the tools. So the education I got was kind of just like the apprenticeship for the calling I already had. So not bragging at all, but it's kind of sometimes not a gift, because it's like, dang, if I ever wanted to quit this thing, like I'm in trouble. I don't have any other education that I've gotten. So it keeps me honest. But it's what I've always wanted to do. And, I developed a passion for helping people who are really hurting, like veterans and folks with serious mental illnesses as a girl, watching my great aunts and uncles, coming from big families. You have like all these extended relatives around. And so for me, seeing my great uncle, he was a Vietnam veteran, would be watching TV all day, kind of. He lived with my abuelita, and watching him sit there and struggle and be watching TV and hear loud sounds. And he always loved to watch war shows, of course, but when they would get into the action stuff, he'd hit the floor. He'd start yelling and screaming or exclaiming. And I was just a child, but I knew, and she'd just, oh, Uncle Junior's having an episode. We're going to go lay down now. Come on back. And he'd go off. But I knew I didn't want him to suffer. And so I've just always had a heart for people who are suffering or who could be living better, because we say pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. So I think my superpower in this world is to help people to suffer a little less.
Beautifully spoken, beautifully stated. It's definitely your calling. It definitely is. And I wish people could just get to know all the different parts of you. I mean, your son is so well-mannered, so precious. I wanted to just scoop him up, and I don't know if I told you, my son Lewis wore little glasses like he does right now. And there's just parts of me that have such a soft spot for kids who wear glasses. He's so well-mannered. And
Thank you.
We are very, very big manners people in my home,
Yes.
Which I know you know. We make kids do push-ups if they don't say yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, all the things. If there's running in the house, that's Monty. And the reason I'm bringing up your well-mannered boy is because whenever I was complimenting him and thinking, oh my gosh, this reminds me of my own kids, but I know we enforce it so rigidly in our home. You said that your father had actually taught etiquette. Is that right?
Yes.
But then wasn't he also a police officer? Just tell us a little bit about how you think that type of diverse background and infrastructure of your father's possibly made you who you are today. You also competed in pageants. You're an Ivy League gal. That's why I just want you to kind of expand a little bit upon that.
Okay, I will. So yes, my dad, and by the way, they don't ever stop being police officers.
I know. Yeah.
They might retire from the force, if you will, but they don't, or the department, but they don't ever, it doesn't leave them. Yes, my father was a Dallas police officer for 30 years. He patrolled all over Dallas. I recently learned he did SWAT at one point. I mean, my dad is like, he's bodybuilding is his hobby.
Wow.
So I always knew my dad was like ripped, but I was like, you're a SWAT guy? Those guys are pretty cool. And my son is like, Peepaw was the SWAT team member, because he met some SWAT guys. But yes, my dad was a police officer my whole life growing up, hence my passion for helping first responders, military veterans, those guys and gals. He was an airman. For a brief interval, he ended up with an honorable discharge under circumstances that he probably wants me to keep to himself, so I'll let him tell that story if he gets to. But that Air Force etiquette mentality is ingrained in him and all of us, and there is a right and way to behave, right? To speak, to act, to carry yourself. Decorum, as my father would say, there is a decorum to all things, and you will not misrepresent this family. So he taught etiquette, and etiquette started as soon as you got up in the morning. You got up and you made your bed.
Yep.
You folded your PJs and put them at the foot of your bed and your foot locker. You washed your face and you brushed your teeth and your hair, and you showed up at the table presentable. You didn't just roll out in your PJs, right?
Yes.
So there was a law and an order to things, and it wasn't always easy, but gosh, am I grateful, because my father's teaching, and my dad and I, we're still close to this day. He's my rock in many ways on certain times, when life's lifing, but he definitely laid a foundation for how to act and how to be in a way that will take you places. Because he'd tell me, even for my little girl, he predicted all this AI stuff, by the way. He's like, one day you'll live in a world where everything you do is recorded and everything you do is going to come back to you, everything you say. So act like you're being watched. Carry yourself like you're on a camera, because one day you will be. And I'm like, I'm not kidding, like 6 and 7 years old, middle school. I'm like, thank God there was no cameras at that time. Because sometimes I didn't do what Dad said. But just a few times, right? I'm Daddy's girl. Don't tell him I said that.
Same, Sasha.
And so he would just... He drilled it in. So he taught etiquette, and it's funny because I wound up doing the same. Shout outs to the Development and Finishing Institute of New York.
Yes.
New York's last standing etiquette school.
Oh, wow.
They're their last oldest one, I believe. I taught there when I went to Columbia for a little bit, but I teach it to my son because everything my dad said was right. I mean, you know this, you and Monty are running a tight ship, as my daddy calls it. And you have to, because these kids have so much out there offering them an alternative. And the reality of it is, this is our home and this is our sacred space, and we will treat it as such, because God has blessed us tremendously with such an amazing life. And you have to behave as if you are called. It's kind of how I had it impressed. So yeah, there was a right and wrong way to be. And my dad wasn't messing around. He still isn't. We said yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. You did not run in the house. I never got in trouble for this type of stuff, for the record. My sisters did. That wasn't me. But Benjamin Isaac did run in the house, and he wasn't supposed to. And Mr. Monty made him do push-ups, and he did pretty good military ones.
He did.
We stay on him at home. What did you just do? come on. Like, oh, that didn't count. Oh, do it again. So his form is flawless because Benjamin learns a lot. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
But I'm always grateful when people comment on his manners and mannerisms, because his father and I, and my father, my whole family, were very equally very big on manners.
Wonderful. It's beautiful to watch because, you know, you and I shared a lot with you about kind of the special needs that run throughout my family. My kids have cousins that all have autism. Then, you know, we have a kid with Down syndrome. So we have a lot of special needs in our family, and mental health coupled with certain diagnoses that are very prevalent in my own family make walking through parenting and setting examples for these kids sometimes really challenging. It's not black or white anymore, especially with respect to social media, which we'll get into. But, and I know that you've openly shared before that that little Benjamin also has a touch of autism. I don't think I would have ever known. I don't think I would have ever known that, which is like kudos to you.
Oh, thank you.
Because all of my family who has a touch of autism, some are much farther along on the spectrum than not. You know, my heart hurts because I think to myself, well, maybe we shouldn't be expecting them to do X, Y, Z, especially if there's some coupled defiance with the diagnosis of autism. Like, the defiance is a big thing. And also a lot of the anxiety and even depression. So as a mother and as a psychologist, I know that the world has seen an increase in specifically in autism, in autistic diagnoses. I know that the more severe cases have trended upwards, but as far as the expansion of the diagnostic manual, do you think that funnel was broadened so that more people are caught by that diagnosis? Or do you think in truth that people are being diagnosed more with that particular diagnosis?
Great question. I'm going to answer the last one and go in reverse. I actually think it's been narrowed because once upon a time there was something called Asperger's syndrome.
That's right.
And or Aspies, as it was called amongst the moms, or our babies are Aspies. And our touch of autism, our level ones, as our boys are, they would have been diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome.
Yes.
Here's why it narrowed it, because it took a whole demographic of care that your child could have gotten treated for much more simpler. It took a whole trajectory of treatment for those of us who provide the interventions, and it just like that. So I hope I'm not overstepping sociopolitically when I say it was political.
It's great to hear that.
Yeah, it's political. So
it is?
It had to be. I mean, I haven't sat down with my brain turned on 100 and like actually fleshed it out yet, which after this I have to now. So let's talk again.
Yeah.
But I think it's political because somebody somewhere in rooms that I haven't sat in yet are benefiting from there being less avenues for diagnoses. So look what happens. More people have it, and they know they have the symptomatology, but they're not necessarily going to get diagnosed as soon or by the time they do, because you can get diagnosed as early as 18 months to 2 years. Most moms don't know that.
Yeah,
so I want to put that out there for all my moms. If you even think your baby's blinking weird, I don't like the way they sound, won't wait.
Yep.
That's the difference between level 1 and beyond.
So
intervention timing.
So this is so critical. Because I know that you were on it. The moment that you were like, something's not right with little Benjamin, you were Johnny on the spot. Many moms that I know kind of kick the can down the road, right? Going through that process. And a lot of the mothers that I'm specifically thinking about are more conservatively leaning.
Yep.
And I don't know why that is. All of my very liberal friends have no problem going to get their kids observed and looked at. So again, I don't understand it, but I have several, and I'm talking like upwards of 20 friends that, and I'm talking, people, it's not like two people.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a wide spectrum of people that I've observed this with. Why do you think that is?
A good catch. Again, I'm only speaking hypothetically what I've observed from my own little life. This is not science. It's not endorsed by anybody or anything other than me. But that being said, if I had to guess, as you mentioned earlier, I just handed over my crown in December as Miss World International, so I'm a pageant gal.
Yes.
I was a delegate at RNC. I'm very proud to say I was a Texas state delegate. I remember the New York Post coming up saying, Miss World's a Republican? And I said, you're darn right. And I'm from Texas too. And they're like, a Texas Republican Miss World. And they interviewed me on the basis of that. I was so proud. I was like, yes. I texted my pageant director. I was like, she's either going to kill me or she's going to kiss me. And so she sent me back heart eyes. I was like, yes.
Oh my gosh.
So we're out there and we're making impact. Now, here's why I'm saying that. I believe, you're a beautiful lady. You know this. When you show up certain places definitively, confidently speaking about something, and you look like that, and you have that edge to you, people go what? They go Google you. They go look you up. And when they Google your name, something comes up. And when something comes up and they start reading about it, they don't necessarily like it. If you think that your medical providers aren't doing this to you, think again. If you think when you take your kids for a well visit, when you seem a certain way, that they're not going to go see who you are, think again, they are.
Sure.
That to your point,
Yep.
to your question, I hope you see where I'm going.
I do.
think that those of us who show up definitively, confidently asking the right questions instead of timidly, oh, well, I think my child, versus I've noticed this, and this, and I want them tested for A, B, and C. They're not used to that. They're used to them having all the power. So when you come in the door empowered, I always say knowledge is power, but empowered knowledge is powerful. When I come in the door empowered about the questions I'm asking, the tests I'm requesting for my child, and I'm not backing down, they don't like that. Because what is it? Trust me, I'm a doctor. So who are you? Now, in my case, when I say I'm Dr. Andrea Sasha Ortiz, who are you?
Yep.
This is my son. This baby came from my body with no anesthesia. Thank you very much. Delivered him natural. Big boy. I know him.
Yep.
I carried him. We were one for almost a year. And when I tell you something with him is off, I need you to test him. They push back, and they shouldn't. So you have 20 friends who happen to be conservative because in our community, what do we base our everything on? Ask questions.
That's right.
Of each other. Respectfully, of course, but if you're saying something and I'm not vibing with it, I'm going to ask you, Sarah, can you clarify that for me? I don't understand you. Now, in certain other communities, they go along and they get along, right? They keep their heads down and their mouths shut because, I don't want to, that's the doctor and they're the authority. And they might be, and they are. That's not to disrespect their education or their acumen. However, as moms, we have a wisdom and a knowledge and an acumen of our babies. And if we don't advocate for them, who the heck will? So I believe that when we come in the door, there's a certain energy that we carry. I was at RNC and I felt it. I was like, you can spot a Republican from a mile away. Now I know. Like being in a sea of a million of them.
I can't.
Really?
I don't think so.
Oh, I can. I can.
Well, no. When I first met you, I literally was like, oh, she's Latina, da-da-da-da. And then I didn't know that you were Republican. No.
Okay. Yes, I didn't know, but there's an invisible thread. There's a magnetism. There's a certain energy with the way people start talking. I guess that's what I mean. You know it when you start talking to people. I usually do. And it's nuanced. Part of it, I'm a behavioral scientist. My whole superpower in life is observing people's behaviors, their mannerisms, listening carefully to what they're saying, the coded language, and parsing it out. So for me, maybe that's a little bit simpler than for others because That's not part of what you do. Part of my job, here's the other part. I work with veterans. The overwhelming majority of veterans are conservative leaning. You can't really be in that world and not be. Law enforcement, conservative. So because I grew up in openly conservative arenas with parents who have these discussions, family having these discussions, neighbors, friends having them, I think I might have a little bit more sensitivity to certain coded language. So when I'm hearing it, I kind of can know. And it's easy asking people just basic social questions about things. You'll find it out. This being one of them. So the diagnosis piece has become highly politicized, and it didn't need to be. I hope I'm not rambling, but I'll leave it there.
Interesting. And so what benefits do parents have by getting their kids diagnosed at an earlier age? What type of interventions could really move the needle for them if they kind of took the bull by the horns and walked into the doctor?
Early intervention is the difference between I don't have to be politically correct. Early intervention is the difference between dropping out of school in middle school and winging it for the rest of your life, or getting the highest level of education you can. Early intervention is the difference between your child staying at level 1, probably, or progressing down progressing into various stages that they may not have had to go into.
Interesting.
I say that because we're so blessed in my family. Would you believe me if I told you that in undergrad, I got a research grant and I wound up being in an autism research lab as a freshman in college?
Of course.
Just by chance.
No, it's God.
Nothing but.
Yep.
I spent the majority of my college education, the first half of it at least, exclusively doing autism research with teeny tiny babies and children. The researcher was trying to see, she contributed to the body of literature, which is our gold standard now. How do we know? What are the symptoms? How do we test? How do we evaluate? How do we treat this? So I saw the difference for 2 years straight, Monday through Friday, what it looks like when the mom thinks something. In this lab, there was no age limit. Well, that's not true. I think they had to be over 6 months old. And we do just basic tests with these little infant babies up through school-age kids. And what I began to see was a pattern of the moms who were bringing the kids in early, who stayed in our program, who did our various, because the trade-off was, if you let us test your child, we'll offer you this support. We have this research lab of these students who are studying ABA therapy, studying to be behavioral interventionists. We'll put your child over there in exchange for you letting us observe them. It was a godsend. Seeing those kids who went through that program for 2-3 years and seeing them evolve day to day, week to week, the proof was in the pudding. So that's the difference between early intervention. Think of it. If you want to be a carpenter when you grow up, if your mother or father starts you learning carpentry when you're 5, you're young enough to or old enough to safely handle the saw, versus the kid who starts at 15. That's the difference. Which one do you think is going to have a stronger apprenticeship skill set?
Yep, of course.
5-year-old. So that's the difference.
And okay, that's an interesting perspective, and I really appreciate it because I am one that takes the bull by the horns, and I'm like, let's go in the second we suspect.
Yes.
The second, with litany of research completed. I mean, document.
Yeah.
Right? Theory. This is what I'm seeing, observing, blah, blah, blah. Now you help guide me, right? Because I wanted you to speak to that importance because you're a doctor, right? It's different coming from you versus someone like me who does not have a medical license. And so I very much appreciate that. Swinging over to the mental health of kids and parents. We all know how damaging social media is.
Yes.
We know. At what age are you planning on allowing Benjamin to have access to social media?
50? 110?
You
never.
sound like Shannon.
If I don't have to. Honestly, if he never wants to, first of all, I won't be surprised. Benjamin Isaac is very He's different. I'm the parent who I don't believe in putting children on social media because they don't have the right to give consent, and they don't know what they're consenting to.
Okay,
Maybe they're okay now.
Yeah.
Yeah, mommy, put pictures of my birthday party on your Instagram.
Sure.
Your lifestyle Instagram page for all your friends to see how you designed this lovely party. But and I'm not knocking the moms to do it.
I hear you.
But where does that end up 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now? Like, we see what's happening with AI. I won't even go there. But so for me, it would be a discussion one day, just like cell phones, electronics. Like, we're very conservative in our household about access to certain things because mental health is serious. The literature has shown higher exposure to social media, more screen time, is equivocated with lower levels of self-esteem, higher levels of depression and anxiety. These young boys and girls are suffering because mom and dad don't want to, want them to be left out when it's like, maybe it was good when they got left out.
Yeah.
Not from social, of course, but from this false image that we create of this is what beauty looks like. This is what intelligence looks like. This is what this person's life is like. Compare yourself versus be you.
Yep.
You're amazing. You're wonderful. So for my son, it would be a conversation. He knows mommy's very involved on social media. I talked to him about keeping him safe, not only from what's in the world, and we know that's what's out there, but also children deserve to have a private life. We grew up, we did not have our whole lives posted on, like, you didn't see me on Facebook snaggletooth at 5. I may not want everybody to see me with my front teeth missing, or my bad hair day from when I had chicken pox.
Yes, yes.
I have that picture. I'm thankful to the world that no one has seen that picture.
Yes.
So kids don't have the choice, and some parents are just doing that. And I don't judge those parents because it's not my place. But for mine, it's not okay because he deals with enough with bullying and other things in school now as a child who has neurodivergent presentation. And my job, our roles as mothers is to protect our children and be their best advocates and to be good stewards of their mind, body, and spirit. So for me, I can best do that when I know what he's consuming in terms of his media diet, social media diet. And I have the rule, what's good for the goose is for the gander. So mommy doesn't look upon these things. Mommy doesn't obsess and immerse herself in this because they do what we do, not what we say.
That's right.
So I don't think it's healthy, especially for our neurodivergent kids, because the media, let's be honest, promotes neurotypicalness.
Yeah.
That's probably not a right word, but normalcy.
Yeah.
And when I have stimming that I do to keep myself, so maybe for me when I'm stressed, I need to hold and rock. You don't see people holding and rocking on social media being glorified. You see people getting made fun of for that.
You're right.
You see people getting called names for that. And what I don't want is to ever expose our little ones to that. So I think as parents, we have to be like, I tell moms, just think 20 years from now, how's that going to age? Because we don't know how the condition evolves. Every child's different, right?
That's right.
Benjamin at 18 months is not Benjamin now at going on 7.
Yep.
So I don't want to put pictures of his little face and likeness everywhere in the world. And one day he's like, Mommy, why? Lady, I didn't like my haircut in that picture. Or maybe he was hand flapping, or maybe he was covering his ears. And, we've seen celebrity children, right, who their children are clearly neurodivergent. We've all seen it. And you can tell that they're shielding them from the media because they don't get photographed often.
That's right.
And they'll say, oh, well, they're hiding that baby. And it's like they're protecting.
Yeah, and it's their right to.
They should.
So that's wonderful perspective. What about, and again, it's going to be pretty much the same answer for you and how you parent.
Sure.
But as far as parents who are considering parent-run, parent-led accounts for their kids, again, I get that it's the same theory, right? The kid does not have a fully formed frontal lobe. They cannot consent, right, to that material that will eventually be available for consumption when they do. Right. So does your same theory apply to that? Do you think that parents should, again, I don't have parent-run accounts, but I have many friends that do for their kids. Okay. And so, I wondered if you had any different perspective as it relates to the parent-run, parent-managed accounts who, let's say, do have typically developing kids, not neurodivergent in any capacity, but if their kids are typical, as typical as you can be, right? I'm neurodivergent, okay. But what are your thoughts pertaining to that?
I can empathize still because that's how you know what's out there for them or not. That's how you know what they do and don't do. I, as a provider, the stories I've heard from some of my parents of kids of all versions on the spectrum, the stuff that their kids are getting messaged privately about is it's why I'm like, Vincent will be 50 to 100 before he gets an account, and I might still be sneaking in to see. And if I'm a helicopter mom for that, well, listen to the blades roar, because I mean, like, what I won't have is one day my son asking me why I didn't protect him. I don't really care what the world says about me hovering, because one of them might make him a little awkward and make me look annoying, but the other one you can't undo. So I'm for it, because only you as a parent know best when your child is mature enough for you to let the reins go. We're both horse people, so you know when you're out training a horse to do something, you know when you need to keep those reins tight up under the bit versus I can give you a little more leeway versus we can trot together. I can run alongside of you and you will follow me. And that's what parenting's not. The kids are horses. Okay. Just in case.
Sure.
People.
A good analogy.
But, that's my goal, is to kind of guide him along the way and to see, okay, you're ready for that now. Like hunting's a perfect example. This kid is 10 and he has no business being out there on the hunt. He's going to be goofing off, yelling, screaming, kicking, scaring off all the game. Like, we're not going to make any good catches today, versus this kid's going to get quiet and listen, eyes forward, be right there present. It's the same attitude. Only you as the parent, as the guide, know when that kid's ready.
Got you. Okay. I like that, because I know that the practice of psychology has a lot more gray than other medical areas, which is why I think it's interesting that the primary body of psychologists do trend more liberal. That's just fact. And I understand why. I absolutely get it, because so many, actually no, but many of my friends struggle with judging, but many, like, it's just a condition of the human, right? to just judge. But I do find that there is a level of acceptance of the way that people live their life in psychology that is helpful, right, to the spectrum of people who need to be treated. And so when I found your political leaning and your profession, I was like, this is crazy. I mean, it's crazy. Like, you're a minority, you're Ivy League gal, you pageant gal, Jewish, conservative, none of it makes sense, which is, but it's just all of these, people that I've known from these independent bodies, and I'm a Latina as well. So it's like, it didn't make sense to me. So I think it's interesting, because I'm sure that many people out there do not take their kids, let's say, right, to doctors for certain diagnoses because they're not trusting of the diagnosis that they or their child may be given for one reason or another. So do you find that your political leaning helps diversify your practice at all? It may not. But do you find that it does?
I love this question. I love you for asking it. Absolutely. The personal is political. I didn't make that statement up. It is, though, because if 92%, to give you some numbers to attach to your statement, of psychologists identifies liberal. 92%. 92 out of 100 psychologists identify as liberal.
Got it.
I think it's me, Jordan Peterson, and 6 other people. I'm looking for him.
Wow.
If we can find him, let's have a small party. We have no quorum, but hey, we can at least sit around and talk to each other about how it feels. But yes, and you know how it happened that way is having all those, as we call them, intersectional identities in this world that the world sees as, that doesn't go together, that doesn't go together, that doesn't go together. It's like, well, it does for me. And I always joke and say, I'm actually an alien from Zyborg. I do come in peace. So that's how it all happened.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean, when you grow up with a dad who's a Dallas police officer,
sure,
you're going to be conservative.
Yep.
And when you grow up in a Judeo-Christian North Texas community, you're going to be Jewish or Christian or Judeo-Christian. With a dad who's a cop, you're going to be conservative. And the mental health piece, when you see first responders and you see what it's like when your dad comes home and someone died in front of him today, or his partner was killed in front of him, or you stay up all night wondering, is my daddy going to come home in the morning?
I know.
I didn't even realize until recently that I had my own stuff about that until my partner and I, we've been together for forever, got into this argument, and I got really emotional. He's like, what is this? Why do you do that? He's like, it's just an argument. I'll be back. And I was like, I just started bawling. And I'm like, why did I cry like that? I'm like, oh, that's some trauma. So that's what informs that conservatism that I take to the therapy room, is because so many of us are worried about being judged, that we bottle it, we let it prop us up and make us, that's what makes me good at what I do, that anxiety or that edge I have, but that very thing that's my thumb screw. And it's my job when I'm sitting across from some very high level special forces guys and gals, or some very highly ranked military officers, to look through that veneer of stability, of strength, of courage, of wisdom, to see there's a crack there. And as a Jewish person, we have a saying, the cracks in your soul are how God's light shine through you. But me as a clinician, as a psychologist, psychology is not the study of the brain or behavior, it's the study of the soul. So my job as a clinician is to see into your soul. I hope that doesn't sound crazy to some people, but it's to see into a person's soul for an hour and to help them see, hey, there's a darkness there, and that's okay, but let's explore that, because you can't be out there on the front lines like that. That's what gets you tagged and bagged, as they call it. You can't be out there in this world first responding when you're having a panic attack.
Yeah.
That's how people end up getting killed.
That's right.
That's how casualties occur.
That's right.
And in the day-to-day world, our teachers, our educators, our moms, our dads, our homemakers, our fathers, these men and women out here supporting families, they're walking around carrying trauma that they don't want to let go of and unload because it's too personal. So for me, the conservative in me is the one that can hold this space that says, my liberal counterparts, no disrespect to them, when you come in and you express like, oh, I've had this issue or that issue, or I'm identifying as this sexual orientation, or I have this issue, you have them for that. That's great. But there's a whole demographic of professionals, of people who have a very much more traditional perspective they have to take daily. And no one's listening to them, and they don't go to therapy because they're scared that my liberal brothers and sisters, my liberal colleagues are gonna, oh, you're into guns, oh, you're violent. That's what better. Yes. You don't get to be a 2A person in therapy.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even think I didn't consider that.
What? You don't believe in vaccine?
No.
You have, paranoid.
Are you
You
serious?
you believe you endorse this political view? Yes, this is what psychologists sit around talking about and doing. So it is essential that people like me and the Jordan Petersons, we're unicorns out here, literally, because so many of our colleagues, and it is a part of the training. I do understand it. I do have my own views that might be considered liberal in ways professionally, but it begins and ends there, because the person sitting in front of me dictates the litmus by which I'm evaluating, not my political views in that room. What's today? Thursday. My Thursday crew, as I call them, the folks I see on Thursdays are overwhelmingly liberal, like ultra left leaning.
Yeah.
And I love them. They challenge me. They make me think outside the box. I hear their side of it, and I learn from them. I hope just as much as they learn from me. I probably learn more from them than they learn from me. But it's that need because they're not struggling with anyone to hold space for them to be able to vent about how they feel about our current socio-political climate.
Yeah.
It's those of us for the last 4 years who had nowhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
We were getting shadow banned on social media
That's
and
right.
couldn't talk
Yeah.
about it in
Yeah.
therapy.
Yeah.
We were out here promoting certain values that
Yep.
were considered dangerous
Yep.
or hateful or bigoted.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Of
And
course.
so,
Yeah. It happened to my husband and it drives
Oh,
me
my Lord.
crazy.
Oh, my
It drives
Lord, I
me
saw that.
crazy because people make him out to be one way. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you just totally misunderstand him. But-
Right.
or, or don't even take the time to, or maybe they don't have the opportunity. It's fine. But I appreciate that perspective so much, Sasha. It's again, it's the minority. You are a huge minority.
I am.
And-
And I'm a 6-footer in a world of 5'5"ers.
or 5'3"ers. But it's fine. I have like these platforms on because I knew that I was sitting with
Can we
you
see
today.
these shoes, please? The shoe game, though.
Oh, stop. And so back over to the time when I was in the Meadows. I was there for 40 days. I don't know if I did tell you that, I thought.
I didn't know your tenure, but that's amazing.
Yes,
You
40
did tell
days
me
in
you
the
were there.
Meadows, and I was treated for workaholism. I was treated for love avoidance and primarily trauma. That's what took me there. But interesting that you say this. The answer is yes. The statement is yes to the fact that people radically judged my husband
Yeah.
because of the way he votes, because it's very public.
Yes.
And it's interesting because I remember constantly, at least my perception, and I'm pretty sure it's reality, was that I constantly had to explain why and how he was actually a really good person.
Right.
Because I was like, no. Because there was this element of you should not have to deal with this. And I'm like, but I'm not. Like, if you hear what I'm saying, yes, is he
Right.
vocal? Is he opinionated? Hell, I am too, even more so, right? I am a pill. And so it was this almost like they wanted me to say I am the victim. I am a poor woman in this. No, but I refused. I was like, like there's no part of this woman today or any day who is that, right? And so one time, the only time I walked out of any type of seminar was whenever they were sitting down to explain the genesis of the whole pronoun space. And I said, listen, I respect all people. If someone asks me to call them a they, I will say they, if that makes them feel better. But I don't need to sit here and understand why, because it makes zero sense to me. I have taken weeks trying to understand this. I cannot understand it. So I'm sorry, I'm just opting not to be here. And I will always, again, respect someone that wants to be, referred to in a certain way. Absolutely. I cannot understand it. I'm not going to sit here for 50 minutes of my day and where I'm supposed to be, receiving therapy and help when I could be off working on all of the work that I need to do for a presentation. So I received a lot of pushback for that decision because I stepped out of that. And I had to meet with a good percentage of the team. It took 20 minutes, so I still, I still benefited with more time on my side to go work on the curriculum that I needed to present. But it's interesting that was included as part of my rehabilitation, because I was like, this has nothing to do with why I'm here, so I can go. And I've never told that story before, ever, because it wasn't relevant. Like there was no point to. But at 92%, I can understand. I can understand why that was mandated. Mandated coursework for someone staying at the Meadows. I get it. now that I'm out and I've gone through so much healing, so in the physical, in the spiritual / supernatural, the healing has been immense. And I've recently started, believe it or not, my 12-step program for Workaholics Anonymous. And that was my primary takedown. That was my primary issue in treatment. But because I needed to make sure that my marriage was successful, and thank God it's successful, I really had to attack my love avoidance part first. But the workaholism is now coupled with TMS therapy and treatment, because I don't struggle with depression, thank goodness, because many people in my life do. But I've always been tightly wound. So I struggle with some anxiety, but it is the intensity in which I lead my life, which prevents me from sleeping. So insomnia. But I'm praying that I show a measurable difference. For the first time in my life, Sasha, I've had PMDD before since I've been little. The first time in my life, this might be TMI, but clearly I don't care. This month, when Aunt Flo came to visit, I had no idea.
Oh, wow.
No idea. I was like, oh my gosh, Aunt Flo's here to visit. And I had no warning. I had no emotional volatility. I had no panic. I had no tearfulness, because I'm a very emotional woman. And I love that part of myself. I think it's what makes me good at many things, the intensity of that. But it's working. It's working. Have you made that recommendation to many of your patients? Can you tell me what you know about TMS in terms of the people that it treats and any type of feedback that you have relating to it?
First of all, kudos to you. It's always amazing to optimize. That's actually, there's a name that the Titas and Abuelitas call it, is lunar optimization. So to optimize as a woman, like to finally get in touch with the flow of Aunt Flo's visits.
Yes.
I tell women, you don't have to suffer. It's a beautiful time, actually. So I'm always glad when I meet women who have found that. Some of us got to grow up with it and some of us did not. So it's a mixed bag. So that to say, yes, TMS, to educate your listeners and viewers, TMS is an acronym for transcranial magnetic stimulation. It is not getting your brain zapped, as some people call it. They're not getting electroshock therapy. People hear this and they're like, so you're getting ECT, you're getting electroshock therapy? I saw that on a movie, and it's like, no. There's not a tinfoil hat and all that. It's not what's going on. So TMS, Terry Martin Steve, TMS is a therapy by which a person is, it was highly utilized at the place that I completed my residency. Shout out to Cohen Veteran Network in Addison. Well, they moved from Addison to Dallas now, but yes, 90% of my patients there were getting TMS in conjunction with psychotherapy from me. They may have been getting psychiatric medications prescribed at the same time. Some of them were doing other more holistic measures, which I know we can talk more about, like ketamine assisted therapy.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Or psychedelic psychotherapy. But TMS is a game changer, because what it does is it takes all the traditional psychotherapy, psychotropic medication therapy that people are very much aware of and used to in mainstream culture, and it takes it up a notch. Because TMS sort of, I would say, think of it as if you break a glass on the floor, oops, and it shatters everywhere. We all have that where 2 weeks later you're like, oh, there's another piece of glass. TMS takes that shattered glass and it waves a glass magnet over, and it grabs all the pieces back together. Now, it doesn't put your glass back together so it's drinkable, but now you've absolutely in one fell swoop, or not one, but over the course of time, you're collecting those shards little by little by little, so you're not walking on broken glass day to day. Now, that's useful to someone who's struggled their whole life, because they will tell me that they're waking up for the first time in life without a headache. They're waking up for the first time in life having had a good night's sleep, or they're for the first time in life able to manage their stressors that used to be a 10 out of 10 of a wallop that packed every day to it's a 3 now. What used to obliterate me emotionally now just annoys me mildly. That's what TMS will do. It doesn't work for everyone. Every person is different, but it's absolutely been clinically indicated in the literature for people with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, people with depressive disorders, people with GAD, generalized anxiety disorder, and specifically of the panic variety. So when you talk about that intensity, you talk about the anxiety, your own background with some trauma stuff in it, whether you experienced it psychologically as trauma or not, the body, as you learned at Meadows, the body keeps the score, as Dr. Vanderkolk so aptly puts
wonderful
it.
Book.
And it's a phenomenal theory. It's true. Our body is a living, breathing organism. What if I told you your body remembers its birth? And if your mom had a tough one, if you were a breech baby, for instance, and you suddenly grow up and you wonder when you go get a CT scan or an MRI for the first time and they put you in the machine and you flip out and you panic, you know what I tell people? What was your birth like? And they're like, what does that have to do with me having a panic attack when I had to get put in that thing? And I'm like, I bet you your mom had a difficult birth. When's the last time you were in a small space and it was hard to get out of it? That's claustrophobia right there waiting to happen. What are the odds that you even ever thought of that by the time you wind up needing a scan? Little to none. That's the difference. TMS would lower symptoms of things that you don't even know you're carrying around. So that's how powerful it is, because how many therapy sessions would it take for me to discover that you had that versus how many TMS sessions would it take for us to not even have to talk about, for you to just, that weird hovering anxiety I've been carrying, it's just, now, true or false?
True. And you want to know, it's really sad, actually, that I forgot this event even happened. Monty and I were on the ranch. We were on this very wooded part of the ranch. And in my parents' marriage, there was significant, it was very, very chaotic, abuse, all this stuff. And we were driving through this new wooded part of the property, and I told him, Monty, I'm starting to really panic right now. All this brush around me is making me, you have to understand, I don't have panic attacks. I don't. But I said, I need to get into the back seat right now. I went to the back seat. I flipped up kind of the middle seat, and I kind of got myself into a ball, and I was crying as he was taking us through this really wooded part. Oh my gosh, even thinking about it right now, it makes me emotional, strangely, because no rhyme or reason, but I mean, I couldn't stop crying. And he just, after we got into the open space, he just kind of, like a child, kind of picked me up in his arms and just held me as I wept. And it was my case management team, whom I love, from the Meadows. They told me, you must try this. Sarah, there is a lot from your life that you still need healing from, And it surfaces at rare moments, but it will continue to surface.
What you're describing is a perfect example of it. I call it my jack-in-the-box theory. Like, when you carry trauma, and I tell people, it's always when you don't need it to. It's always when you're at that holiday dinner, or you're walking through the mall, or you hear that song, or you smell that baked apple pie somewhere, and you have that panic attack for the first time. That's a trauma episode, actually. That's what you had. And you're like, what the heck? Why? I was doing great. Life's great. I have this wonderful everything. I'm here. I'm loved. I'm supported. Why am I? Why do I feel this way? What's wrong with me? It was out of the blue. And it's buried trauma. What if I told you there's something about while you're bumping along on the terrain, when your body's doing stuff like this? So when's that? When you're on a boat, when you're on a horse, when you're on certain machinery, when you're doing this, your brain is lateralizing. Little do you know it.
That's true.
Out of nowhere, because it's EMDR basically. That's all EMDR is.
That's correct.
That left, right movement. It's why equine therapy is so useful. It's why even walking and talking, as you guys do at
and you have to purposefully move your eyes. That's right.
Walking and talking, looking, talking about what's going. Your brain is basically. It's like, think of it if I have some inflammation and suddenly it calms. that knot in the shoulder can kind of be massaged out a little more easily because it's, So you're inadvertently, your brain was processing some stuff, but you were out there in that calming terrain of your woods and your property.
Yep.
You were in a safe place. So the body's like, okay, now, like,
Yeah.
let it go, kick it out of there.
Yep.
Like, dump it.
Yep.
And so now you're in fetal position, like, what the heck?
I know.
And it's a good thing, though. Of course, it does not feel good.
It does not feel good.
It doesn't feel good.
It did
makes
not
you
feel good.
Feel emotional. Think about it. But it's a good thing because it means that you're finally safe. Your body physically, your mind, body, spirit aligned just in that moment to say, it's safe, let it go. And that's why your team said, hey, start the TMS, start doing this, because that broken glass, they're like, okay, we're ready to start. Because some people are not ready.
Yeah.
That's why else. And that's part of why it's so expensive, because if you have not had certain levels of psychotherapy, you don't need to do TMS.
Yep.
Let me put that out there. TMS does not wipe your memory. People think Eternal Sunshine is just a movie, y'all.
My goodness.
Like, it doesn't wipe your memory. It doesn't erase your thoughts. It doesn't take away bad experiences. What it does is it lessens the magnitude of how you experientially feel them in your body and how your mind can process and digest them, like a meal your body eats.
Yep.
So TMS is great after you've had extensive therapy. For some folks, that needs to be combined with medication. So it's still technically expensive no matter what, because you've got to invest in that good luck, therapeutic relationship, because you need to still be going to therapy, psychotherapy, talk therapy while you're doing it, because stuff's going to be coming up for you week to week. Stuff that you never remembered that you remembered.
Exactly.
Right? Or that you forgot. Things you didn't even know like were a thing. I had one client, for instance, they started TMS and finally were able to discover why they can't go to restaurants. They couldn't realize why until one day they were like, oh, there's something about all the noise and the clanking on plates, people dropping forks and babies crying and screaming. And I said, where does that put you back when you hear that? And they were able to take their mind back to it after they'd been under a round of TMS. And then they were really heavily processing at that time, but it was only because it became safe.
That's so beautiful. It's so beautiful because I know I've shared with you, and I also want to touch on ketamine. It's so beautiful because in my future life, I believe I'm called in some way, shape, or form to help people, women specifically, who've endured a ton of trauma through a host of methods. And today, in my prayers this morning, I was thanking God so much for all of my pain, all of my struggle, even my hip and back pain right now. I was just thanking him for it because I was like, I believe this is all going to be for something. And just like all the crazy trauma in my life, I'm so grateful for it now because I sit in a much healthier space, a place of honesty, integrity, and health, especially mentally and spiritually. Oh my God, I never knew this sort of freedom was available to me, ever. But someone very dear to me and close to me used ketamine therapy for a huge breakthrough. Would you mind telling our viewers and listeners about what that entails?
Yes. So ketamine assisted psychotherapy
That's right.
is sort of a multi-pronged. It's an integrative mental health approach. Ketamine is only legally administered by an anesthesiologist or a medical professional, a medical doctor. And basically, you are in a very controlled setting where you're safe, you're sound. Again, not recommended if you haven't gone through some pretty extensive therapy. You want to do it before, during, and after. But let's say you've done the therapy work, you're there. Ketamine is basically a psychedelic substance that is administered in a very itsy bitsy teensy tiny dose. There's various ways. Some people have a nasal spray that they can use. Some people receive a shot with an IV system, and some people, I believe, can get like a subcutaneous. It's up to your doctor how they administer it, but the whole point is what it'll do is it will put a person in a very relaxed state whereby they will and they may, some doctors do it where they will have the psychologist or a mental health professional right there with you to process some stuff. I've done that technique.
Yep.
It's advanced. It's for folks who have, like yourself, who've done a lot of work.
Significant work.
Significantly.
Yep.
A couple of my folks I've done that with. And they just start kind of processing. And it's, what's coming up for you right now? What are you seeing? What are you thinking about? What are you feeling? And kind of letting them more, as we call it, free association, whereby you're just kind of talking about whatever is coming up. We're not having a coherent, linear conversation. It's stream of consciousness. So you may, I'm thinking about how I drove to work today, and I saw this person. I gave them some change, or I saw I had to get gas, and you just kind of run, and your brain will just like kind of, you let an animal. You have animals, you let them out to pasture, they'll roam. Yes. You let your mind roam, and we see where it'll end up. And the professional, myself, is sitting there kind of mentally coding for themes. What's coming up? After 5 or 6 of these sessions, usually a person will come up through their forest moment that I'll call like yours, where they're like, whoa, what's that? And it's like, okay, stay there. What is that for you? My job is to take you deeper into that. What did you see? What did you hear? What did you feel? What's happening with your body? Now, some people process while they're under the influence of the ketamine. Some people don't want to. Anyway, over time, if you do enough of these sessions, what we notice is heavy trauma with a capital T trauma, little t trauma.
Little T's.
Dallas traffic.
Yeah. Sure.
Your team lost the Super Bowl. That's little t trauma. Big T trauma is when life's lifing, assaults, witnessing abuse, certain life events, right? When people can get into that stuff, 5, 6 sessions in, we're starting to see them have a trauma response in the opposite direction, to where they'll feel it that one time intensely, and then next time as we're talking about it, it's like, wow, that happened. So I had veterans who had survived extreme combat related trauma, able to go from shaking, crying, can't speak at all, can't emote, can't feel their feelings, to 6 sessions later, they can smile again, they can laugh again for the first time in decades. They can talk about what happened without, like, it may have been before, I need to leave you 30 minutes to just sit here while we decompress from that session. I'm fine, I'm good. See you next week. It's so powerful. Again, it's kind of like TMS. It is not inexpensive.
Yeah.
It is pricey. Some insurances cover it, though. Some don't.
Wow.
It's more innovative. And you do need a very astute, well-versed medical team to do it.
Interesting. Have you heard of any, of course you've heard of, I know the ayahuasca retreats, and there's an additional one in Canada that a couple friend of mine recently started going for, and it's not ayahuasca, but they do take some type of hallucinogen.
Is it ibogaine?
Possibly.
Probably.
And either way, that's been pretty transformative for them as well. Do you have any insights on the hallucinogenic space as it relates to mental health?
Sure. There's a movement that's very well respected that came out of Harvard University, actually, called MAPS. That's an acronym that I currently don't recall what all the letters stand for. But MAPS has 2 P's, I can tell you that. MAPPS, Martin, Andrew, Peter, Paul, Steve. And MAPS basically is a sort of international. They've got a lot of folks coming out of Canada doing the research and trickling down throughout the United States. And it was founded by Dr. Stanley Groff, who came out of Harvard University. I had the good fortune of studying under Dr. Groff for a little bit of time at the beginning of my doctoral studies. And one of the things I learned from observing, I got to be a sitter, so observing people under the influence of various psychedelic substances who were at any stage of trauma therapy treatment. And yes, you saw breakthroughs happening. It is not illegal in Canada. It's not illegal in Mexico. There's certain military-related spaces where it's also legalized. So that's the setting I was in with these people. I have no opinion one way or the other what people do to go heal or how they go do it. I have to say that for my own purposes in the U.S. But that being said, when done correctly, when done with the right team, I'm seeing breakthroughs happening. I have a lot of veterans who've gone up to Canada to do the Ibogaine and to Mexico and South America to do the ayahuasca vision questing and whatnot. And they're having game-changing growth. I mean, like I said, people who have extensive, these special ops guys who have extensive, they call them multiple tours they've had to do, right? At different conflicts they've been a part of, because I did a lot with wives and kids at Cohen Network, having their wives call me up crying finally for a good reason. Yeah. Like, he slept through the night for the first time in 10 years. Oh my God. He hasn't yelled at the kids in 3 months. Wow. He's being affectionate and, we're having intimacy again and we're not fighting about it, or I'm not scared of my husband anymore. Yeah. My husband isn't afraid of me anymore. Yeah. My husband isn't afraid of intimacy anymore. These things, and so that's what's the plus side of it, is people are getting themselves back. They're I call it coming home to themselves. Yep. They're coming back like, oh, there I am. And it's not, you're not 90 having the full circle moment. Yep. You're today old having it. Yep.
Yeah, this is remarkable. I have one question for you. And again, I don't know much about how Jewish practicing persons view the introduction of any of these type of newer alternatives. But I know specifically, as a Catholic Christian lady, I work extra hard not ever to be out of control, right? If I have a glass of wine, if I have a cocktail, I have one. Like I'm very just moderate in terms of consumption of any mind-altering items. And so, and specifically because I've gained insights into the spiritual / supernatural space that have totally transformed my understanding of it. I'll make it real short. This woman who I worked with, at recommendation of my brother-in-law, Monty's identical twin, went to Cornell together, and he went into Christian ministry. Started Christian Union at all the Ivies. It's prolific, it's exceptional. Now he works in the deliverance space. And he introduced me to this woman who, radically transformed my healing journey by way of like serious deliverance. And she is just enough to scare the living daylights out of me, right? To be like, okay, God, I am never taking half seriously again. No, I used to. I was, oh my goodness, I was a mess in many ways. But I am terrified of doing anything that could possibly open me up to any type of evil entering. I'm not sure what your beliefs are relating to trauma, opening people up to evil. Significant evil, especially in the bloodline, how curses kind of fall through the bloodline, and how oftentimes without that type of healing, someone is never able to experience, I guess, the healing that is available to them, which I'll get to just on a personal note. But I share all of this to say that elements of this whole process and practice that I've seen and witnessed firsthand have scared me enough to not want to venture into mind-altering spaces except what you're explaining. Again, I've never done the ketamine treatments. I've never done any of that, but I can see and believe what you're saying relating to the healing aspect of it. Is there any part of you that is concerned on that spiritual side?
If misused, yes. People have absolutely historically, some people have historically misused ketamine.
Sure.
It is
yes,
absolutely
yes.
something
you can abuse, yes.
That can be abused.
Yes.
I'm not, let's be honest. the dosage that is used for ketamine assisted psychotherapy, KAP, Keith, Andrew, Paul, KAP therapy is very minute, and I'm not well versed with the numbers off the top of my head, so I won't try, but let's just say it's like 1/10 of what people use in therapeutically. People who are out here doing stuff on the streets are doing 10 to 20 times more than that. So
Got you.
It would take a mega dose of something like that for you to end up in this territory where you are now, and I firmly believe that psychology is the study of the soul. We all have a mind, body, and a spirit. And the things that you eat, the things you drink, the things you watch, the things you listen to.
That's right.
The orifices of your body, all of them, head to toe, are portals to your soul, which is located right here in your pineal gland, on your third eye, as some people call it.
That's right.
And if you don't think that what you're eating and drinking and listening to and smelling and hearing and tasting and touching and taking in, on purpose or not, is not impacting that element, that essence of you that is eternal, think again. That's all I'll say about that in my own way. Now, that being said, I practice from that lens. I am a firm believer that, y'all, the biggest control, the biggest, greatest power you have biomedically is choice. Sit down and interview the people who are going to be laying their hands on you. Whether it be to give you a facial, do your hair,
that's right,
your nails, whatever. Talk to people. Don't let anybody touch your body, your mind, your heart, your spirit, your soul, that or your babies, without knowing what are you about? What's your philosophy? Who are you? Go look them up. And I loved what you said earlier. Your husband, you having to defend him for the way he votes.
I did.
I know.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes and no, because that to say, y'all, stop being so focused on how some of us vote. And focus more on our philosophy about how we're going to treat you. And maybe how I vote might actually give you an idea of how I'm going to treat you or not. Now, in my case, it does. It says, I'm going to treat you to the best of my ability from that perspective of a godly Judeo-Christian woman who wants to see you thrive. Or as they say for us other folks, I want you to go forth and prosper. Like, I want you to really be okay, whether you get that support and healing with me working alongside of you or not. So yes, don't just go get KAP from any old body. Do your homework. I mean, Google sometimes is your friend. Look on, that's when you use social media. Go see, who's this person? What's their philosophy? Ask them these questions. I've had a couple of clients who saw, and they were like, I saw that you're a Republican. I don't ever want to talk to you again. And I said, wow, it's so interesting that you're saying this. We've been working together for 9 months. What took you so long? Are you saying
I'm sorry?
Don't be. I'm grateful. And I thanked them. And I said, I'm so glad that I got to show you that you could, in fact, grow, even when it comes to talking to an evil Republican. I'm glad that I could inform you. I'm just kidding, y'all. That there's healing to be had in any place that you go and you open your heart. And you felt safe enough with me to do that. And how I vote has not a darn thing to do with me helping you come home to yourself. But I release you with all the love in my heart, and I wish you nothing but the best of everything. So when you go to a provider, go to someone that's going to treat you like that, whether it's the first session or the last, whether you end up not working with them or not, whether you have a philosophical parting of ways. That's how you'll know. Now, should some people not do KAP? I don't think so. Some people do not need to do it. Is it people with histories of addiction per se? Maybe. Is it someone who's never in their life had a drink of anything? Maybe. It just depends. And that's why I, as a practitioner, interview people. Just like I want you to interview me, I want to interview you. I want to know, what's your background? Now, don't go to someone who just says, fill out these forms, sign this consent, and come on back. Y'all, por favor, don't do that. Don't go to those people, right? Sit and get to know the person's theoretic orientation. Sit and ask them what their therapeutic intervention of choice is going to be with you. If it's a anesthesiologist, do you work with a clinical psychologist in particular? What's their orientation? Where can I find out more about them? Then go look it up. Talk to these people before you let them lay their hands on you. Then, 3 is my number. Go talk to 3 different, interview some folks. Of those 3, if you feel like, oh, yes, that's the one, then that's how you'll know. Because you're correct. Generational curses, I am I am a woman of faith, and I also have a sprinkle, some people call it superstition, some people call it religion, added. We've both seen it. We both know. Generational curses are for real.
They are real.
Here's how it plays out psychologically for those who don't believe. And it's scientific by now. If your grandmother is pregnant with your mother, with a girl, there are currently 3 generations of eggs in her body at that time that your mother had your grandmother had your mother in her womb. So you now are born. Whether you ever get to meet her or not, you're carrying around the abuse, the trauma, the day-to-day that your grandmother had, whether you ever lay eyes on her or not, whether you ever hear her voice or not. And it may, we don't have cancer, we don't have diabetes, we don't have heart failure. Right, but you wonder why you have this weird anxiety, why you have this weird depression that pops up now and then. That's a version of a generational curse. Now, I follow this amazing rabbi. He is such a profound spiritual leader of people of all backgrounds. And he recently said something that just thumped me in the head lovingly. I like those head thumps. He said, if you don't deal with your mommy and daddy issues, you'll deal with it when you get married to your husband or wife.
That's right.
It'll play out.
That's right.
You didn't deal with the stuff your daddy did to you. Your husband will help you deal with it. And
That's right.
Whoa. And he said, if you don't deal with it with your husband, you'll deal with it with your son or daughter. And if you don't deal with it with your son or daughter, they'll deal with their husband or wife.
That's
right.
You
decide. Are you going to keep passing that generational baton like a race? Or are you going to say, I'm going to finish it. I'm going to run through the line. You've chosen to finish it. Some people can use ketamine. Some people can use TMS. Some people can use psychotherapy. Some people just go to church. Some people just pray. Some people go out in nature and commune with the trees and the animals and the things God gave us. But however you choose to do it, it's essential that you do, period. So,
absolutely.
And don't go to providers who haven't.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And one thing that I want to kind of part with is your take on the divisiveness of today's world. It's crippling. I grew up on the border of Juarez and El Paso, and so I am from a staunch Democratic family. I was probably one of the most, no, you're fine. I was probably one of the most, quote, liberal people that you ever could have dreamt of, me. But my family is still like, and I talk to them every day. Like this is my family, my flesh and blood, and I love them. Like the politics don't even like affect us, and it shouldn't, and I'm so grateful it doesn't. However, up to the recent years, it was never affected. Someone very dear to me wrote on their social page, all Trump voters should die. I'm related to her. And thankfully, right, I was able to say, ugh. And then I saw another one that said, all Trump voters are evil. And then another one. So these are separate members of my family, biological and then in my adopted family. And I read the posts and I thought, I'm just leaving it right there. I'm not taking that on. I know that these people love me, and I'm choosing to not invite hate into my heart and giving them grace, because I know I've been given grace constantly, and it's okay. It's okay. They don't have to like who I voted for, because they know my heart. Right. They know my heart. They know me as a person, as a human. And because of that, we love each other. But I know many people who would have read the same posts and been like, I'm blocking them. I'm not, right? Like they kind of respond in this retaliatory space and this, and I get that it's probably because I pray every freaking day, like not to judge. God, fill me with grace, fill me with forgiveness, help open my eyes, give me discernment, right? Could I be wrong about all that I view in this world? Absolutely. And I'm humble enough to believe that intrinsically. I know that that's not the case for most people. Like, there is sickening divisiveness that was spoken about, well, I know, in our holy book, the Bible of Revelation, right? And it was written, there's going to be an increase in knowledge in the final days. Boom. Okay. Like, that wasn't just happenstance. It's happening. And the mass confusion. So I face this all from kind of a spiritual space. What can you say to people who are not leaning into the spirituality of life, but who are still really struggling from feeling attacked, not heard, all of that, right? What words can you leave them with as a psychologist, as a provider in the mental health space?
It's like, oh, no big deal. Here's a really loaded, heavy question for you. No big deal. Wow, that's a phenomenal question, and it's the best one today, because we all know we don't benefit from division. The things that we have, people are like those Venn diagrams. Humans are. Yep. You got this side, and you got this little lemon-shaped part in the middle where we all overlap. Every human you meet, you could be a twin. Your husband's a twin. My mom's a twin, so I love twins.
I've had twins. Yes.
Right. What am I saying? You're a twin mom, yes. So you know. You have two humans that came in at the same time just about, who might look identical, but they still have that lemon-shaped part in the middle that's the same. And I tell folks all the time, it's those differences that are so enriching if you let it be. I love being disagreed with.
Me too.
I love it.
Me too.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
How boring would life be?
Yes.
I mean, I hope we never end up in the true 1984 world where everyone has to ma'am each other, because
that's right. Because we wouldn't be voting,
and we're kind of there in ways, but
you
know what I mean?
Yeah.
But being disagreed with keeps you human. It keeps you smart. I love when I find out I'm wrong.
Yep.
That's how I learn something. And in fact, I was telling my boyfriend last night, he's like, where are you? You're always somewhere. I was at this, I'm part of this private equity group in Fort Worth that I do once a month. And I'm the dumbest person in the room. I am. And I sit on the front row on purpose. And they're like, hi, who are you? And I'm like, hi, I'm Dr. Sasha Ortiz. And they're like, oh, what do you do? Are you an economist? I'm like, no, I'm a clinical psychologist. And they always go, oh, well, are you an investor? And I'm like, not yet. I'm just here. I'm here to feel dumb. And they're like, what the heck? But that's what I mean. Go somewhere often as you can to just be a fly on the wall where you know nothing.
Yep.
I know nothing, Jon Snow. Like, I don't want to know. I want to be confused in a good way. But that's my answer. Get with people who challenge you just enough to grow, but who accept your ineptitude at what they're teaching you enough to give you grace. I think that keeps you rounded and interesting and honest, because as soon as you get to drinking your own Kool-Aid, you know what's going to happen. God's going to come down and humble you real quick.
That's right.
You're going to fall down on your little face and be getting up, fixing it. But it's painful. Like I talked about that person who was like, nope, you're a Republican, you're out. I don't want you here anymore. And I'm like,
oh, I know, it's hard.
And you know what I did? I can't say too much about who they were, but I just said a prayer for him and was like, God bless you. It's fine. I don't need you to agree with me.
That's right.
That's the truest liberation in the world. I don't need to be agreed with. Because I feel that confidently about, I am the broken clock that's right twice a day. That's all I need to be, is right twice a day. The rest of those minutes and hours, I'm okay considering I might be getting this totally wrong. And if I stay here long enough, God will send somebody along my path to say, hey, lady, you're going the wrong way. And I'm not bristling at that. I think it's those of us who are deeply entrenched in our egos with a capital E, who can't let go of that self that's really not us. That's what else. I was listening to my rabbi last night.
Which was a rabbi that you follow?
Yeah, he's called Rav, R-A-V. That's a short name for rabbi. It's complicated that's Hebrew. Right. Yep. Doniel, D-O-N-I-E-L, Katz, K-A-T-Z. He runs a worldwide traveling I would say his movement is not, it's Jewish, but it's not Jewish. It's people say, oh, it's very Christian sounding. It is, but it isn't. His message is universal love in the sense of humans, know thyself, step away from your ego, break up with this fake sense of who you think you are. Because he said it last night on his message I was hearing, you're not your body, you're not your job, you're not your addiction, you're not your orientation, you're not that image you have of yourself, whatever. You are something so much deeper, and it's that fixation on what I am that makes me fight with who I am not when I get around you.
Yep.
Because I tell people in psychology, a good therapist will hold up a mirror to you. My job is to hold up a mirror the whole time you're talking to me and say, see yourself.
Yep.
Hear yourself.
Yep.
Listen truly to yourself. Okay, see you next week. And me, I like to ask tough questions too. You're good. Yep. You have a background in therapy. You have a future in therapy. I can't wait for you to do your women's healing movement. You're going to heal so many women. You already are. But ask yourself tough questions. And the people who disagree with you, that's really why God's putting them in your life, is to get you to question. Because as a Jewish person, and I very much have a strong value, my boyfriend is a staunch Methodist, and I love it because it's funny. Every time he'll say, oh, well, I know you're Jewish. So, and I said, don't do that to me. Excuse me, sir. I've read the Christian Holy Bible 6 times in its entirety.
And many Christians haven't.
Most of them haven't. I'm like, hey, don't do that to me. And I will. God uses me regularly to say, Mr. Scott, come here. Let me tell you something about the Bible says, the word says this. And you know what? It also tells us to be salt and light unto the earth.
That's
and that
right.
Salt and light is about go where in the world you think you don't belong and talk to people who don't think anything like you.
Yep.
So my closing remark is Jesus' 12 disciples were a bunch of thugs, thieves, pimps, prostitutes, swindlers, and shysters.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
And he loved them very much, not because they were pious and holy and good and pure. He loved them because they were not.
Yep.
They had the most to teach the person that they met. What do you learn from the person who never made a mistake?
Exactly.
Perfect. He's great.
Exactly.
Like nothing other than what I'm not ever going to be. Like,
that's
dang,
right.
I'm going to just sit over here and be bad away from you. But the person who can say, yeah, I've been there. I've lived like that. I got the T-shirt. And I had a rock band named after it. Like, I was doing that, and I'm not anymore. And I'm not saying it that to judge you. I'm saying it that, hey, try this instead. Come hang with us. We did used to do that, but we found a better way.
Yeah.
There's a high that you've never had available to you, and it's in the form of dying to self.
Yep.
Let that ego, every time someone questions you, oh, wait, why did I feel that way? Oh, okay, maybe I need to look into that.
My
and
eyes
if you
are
have
watering.
children,
It's beautiful.
if you have children, that's who's teaching you. So, and they'll ask you those
amen
questions.
to that, Lord.
Like, Mommy, how come you? And it's like, okay, Lord, I hear you. I need to work on that. All right, I'll, mission accepted. So, all that to say, I think that if we accept our differences, if we look at the next person that comes up to you and challenges you, if you're willing to lean into that, embrace it, even if it's internal, you'll learn something.
Yep.
If you keep learning long enough, when you get to wherever you're going next, I think you'll be better. So we're having, the spiritual experience on the human plane down here.
Yep.
Some of us know this.
Yeah.
And we're a little further along than the other ones. And those of us who are, we just got to give them grace too, and love them anyway. But I love what you said. Like, don't respond to that stuff. I don't either, because it's like how I vote has nothing to do with how I feel about you. Yeah. I pray with my feet and I vote with my dollars. So
yes. Oh, goodness gracious. We covered a lot of ground today.
We did.
But it was profound. I cannot thank you enough for being here. I hope to have you back.
Oh, please. I would love to.
I so look forward to spending more time with you.
Yes, likewise.
Away from the mics and all the things, but
same, all of it.
I am very grateful you're in my life. Thank you, Sasha.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you.